Hello, I'm Brian Norcross, and I lived here in South Florida for almost 25 years. As residents of South Florida, we face many hazards, from hurricanes to wildfires to other natural and man-made disasters. The Miami-Dade County Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security has produced the following video to help you get prepared for any emergency. As a meteorologist and a fellow resident, I encourage you to follow the steps in the video and to get prepared.
With our beautiful beaches, hot night spots, exciting cultural events, and year-round mild climate, Miami-Dade County is a wonderful place to live. South Florida's tropical climate allows us to enjoy a variety of outdoor activities year-round. But living in Miami-Dade County isn't always paradise. There are a variety of hazardous events that can occur in our county, including man-made as well as natural disasters. So what can you do? The answer is simple: get prepared. The three most important steps in emergency preparedness are: establish a family emergency plan, prepare an emergency supply kit, and learn about specific hazards. Establishing a family plan. Your family may not be together when disaster strikes, so it's important to prepare a plan that will help you respond to any emergency situation. First, you should discuss the types of disasters that could occur in your area, as well as how you would respond to each type of disaster. The next stage in creating your family emergency plan is to come up with escape routes out of your home and to establish a meeting place for your family to gather in the event of an emergency. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, more than 4,000 Americans die each year in house fires, and approximately 20,000 more are injured. Having a sound escape plan will protect you and your family if a fire occurs. The best plans have two ways to get out of each room. This way, if the main exit is blocked by fire or smoke, you still have a second way out. Make sure children understand these escape routes and practice these plans on a regular basis. It's also important that you establish a safe place to meet near your home, such as the next door neighbor's house, as well as a place outside the immediate area, such as the park down the street. This way, everyone in your family knows where to gather if an emergency forces you from your home. In regards to hurricanes, your family emergency plan should include evacuation locations and what supplies to bring if advised to evacuate. Make sure your evacuation plans include alternate routes as well as other means of transportation out of your area. Another step in creating your family emergency plan is to establish a plan for communication. Since your family may not be together when an emergency occurs, it is important to talk about how you will get in touch with one another in different situations. Fill out an emergency contact card for each family member. This card should include important information such as your home address and phone number, local as well as out-of-state contact names and telephone numbers, and the locations of your pre-established meeting places. The card should be laminated and kept handy in a wallet, purse, or backpack. If you or a member of your family has special needs, you may need to take additional steps when preparing your emergency plan. Last but not least, how you will care for your pets during an emergency also needs to be part of your plan. After you create your family emergency plan, it is important to regularly review and maintain your plan. Every 6 months, you should practice fire and emergency evacuation drills, review emergency information including contact numbers and how to dial 911 with all members of your family, particularly children, replace batteries and smoke detectors, test and recharge your fire extinguishers according to manufacturer instructions, and ensure that your emergency supply kit is properly stocked. Emergency supply kit. The second step in emergency preparedness is preparing an emergency supply kit. An emergency supply kit is a collection of basic items that your family may need in the event of a disaster. Your emergency supply kit should have enough supplies to last you for at least 3 days. Why 3 days? If a disaster occurs in your community, local responders may not be able to provide help right away, or they may need to focus on areas of the community that have suffered the greatest damage. Therefore, you should be prepared to be self-sufficient for at least 3 days. Keep in mind that disasters have a mind of their own, and you may need to rely on your own resources for a week or even longer. Here's a checklist of some items that should be included in every emergency supply kit. Water, 1 gallon per person per day. Non-perishable food items such as canned goods, bread, and other items that do not require refrigeration, cooking, or special preparation. Try to avoid foods that will make you thirsty. and be sure to include a manual can opener. Battery-powered radio or television, flashlights, and extra batteries. Try to avoid using candles since they can cause fires. First aid kit and manual. Include common over-the-counter medications as well as special items such as prescription medications and contact lens solution. Photocopies of credit cards, identification cards, insurance documents, and other important paperwork. Make sure to place these items in a Ziploc bag or other waterproof container. Cash. It is important to have some cash available because following a hurricane or other disaster, banks and ATMs may be temporarily closed. Make sure you place your cash in a Ziploc as well. Items for infants, such as formula, bottles, and diapers, as well as items for pets, including additional water and food. Sanitation and hygiene items such as toilet paper, antibacterial cleansers, and moist towelettes. Any other items you think your family may need. When you pack your emergency supply kit, keep all of the items together in an easy-to-carry container such as a duffel bag or a large Rubbermaid container. And make sure to take your kit with you to your safe room or wherever it is you decide to go. Learning about specific hazards. The final step in emergency preparedness is learning about specific hazards. For us here in South Florida, hurricanes are the hazard we are most likely to face. However, you should learn about all of the hazards that could occur, as well as how to respond to each of these disasters. For more information, please visit the following websites: www.miamidade.gov/OEM, ready.gov, miamiredcross.org, or FEMA.gov. Hurricanes are powerful storms that can measure up to 600 miles wide and have winds ranging from 75 to 150 miles per hour or more. Hurricanes rotate in a counterclockwise direction around an eye. The center of the storm, or eye, is the calmest part of the storm. But don't be fooled by the calm of the eye. The strongest and most dangerous winds and rain surround the eye of the storm, so it's important to stay sheltered during the entire storm period. The Saffir-Simpson scale classifies hurricanes into 5 categories based on sustained wind speed, central pressure, and potential for damage.
The way the force from wind works, it goes up dramatically as it increases 10 or 15 miles per hour. So Miami residents at the time, Herb Saffir, who's still here, and also Bob Simpson, got together in the 70s and said, we need to describe the forces of the wind in a different kind of way that people can easily understand, and the differences between a 110-mile-an-hour hurricane and a 125-mile-an-hour hurricane, because the forces and therefore the damage are so much stronger. So every time the scale goes up 1, you're talking about 4 times the amount of damage that will be caused by the hurricane.
Storm surge is usually the most damaging element of a storm. A storm surge is a large dome of water formed by a hurricane's strong winds which sweep across the coastline where the hurricane makes landfall.
When the hurricane is moving across the ocean, the winds pushing out ahead of it are also pushing water up in front of it. So that mound of water gets moving with the hurricane, and a tremendous amount of energy gets put in the water. So when it comes to the shoreline, that water gets pushed up on the shore, and it's moving very quickly with a tremendous amount of energy from those hurricane force winds. So even 6 inches to a foot of water can sweep a car off the road, and you certainly can't stand in it. So you cannot stay anywhere where that full force of the storm surge might come in and affect you. And it's extremely dangerous, the most dangerous historically part of the hurricane, because you cannot survive, you cannot stand up in storm surge water.
Even though hurricane season only runs from June 1st through November 30th, it is important to learn about hurricanes and prepare your response to them year-round. Before hurricane season begins, you should already have your family emergency plan and your emergency supply kit in order. This is also a good time to properly prune trees, review your insurance policies, obtain flood insurance if necessary, and plan for evacuation if you live in a mobile home or hurricane evacuation zone. This map shows the hurricane evacuation zones in Miami-Dade County. If an evacuation order is given, residents who live in an evacuation zone or who have special needs will be asked to evacuate. Identify ahead of time where you will go if told to evacuate. This may be at a friend's home, at a motel, or at a shelter. While shelters will be available for those residents that have nowhere else to go, they should be used as a last resort. Remember, shelters are not designed for comfort and are often noisy and crowded. When evacuating, leave with plenty of time to avoid traffic jams and worsening weather conditions. Secure your home before leaving and remember to take your emergency supply kit with you. If you know someone with special needs, they may be eligible for the Emergency Evacuation Assistance Program. Residents who qualify will receive assistance in evacuating and will be sheltered in a special needs evacuation center, which will be staffed by healthcare workers and paramedics in addition to a regular shelter staff. For more information on the EEAP program or to get an application form, please call the Miami-Dade Answer Center at 311 or visit the OEM website at www.miamidade.gov/OEM and download an application in English, Spanish, or Creole. For residents of Miami-Dade County who live in evacuation zones and have pets, there are pet-friendly hurricane shelters that will be open if a mandatory evacuation order is given. Eligible residents can bring up to 4 pets per household if they evacuate to these special shelters during a storm. You must register in advance for this program by calling the Miami-Dade Answer Center at 311 or by downloading an application from the OEM website. If you do not need to evacuate, you should plan to shelter in place. The safest room to be in during a storm is an interior room with no windows, such as a bathroom or closet. Remember to bring your emergency supply kit with you and stay in your safe room throughout the entire storm period. Once hurricane season begins, it is important to regularly follow the news and monitor any storms that may be forming. As a storm gets closer, you might start to hear the terms hurricane watch and hurricane warning. What's the difference?
A watch means that we need to begin to get ready. We don't need to take full preparation actions, at least most of us don't. Some folks with boats and other situations that take a lot of time might have to spring into action even under a watch that occurs about 36 to 48 hours before the worst of the storm is expected to hit. But with a warning, that means given all the meteorological expertise of the people at the National Hurricane Center, which have the best equipment and knowledge in the world, they think the risk is high enough that full preparation needs to be made.
As a storm approaches, it is important to take the following actions. Monitor the news for storm advisories and local emergency information. Board up windows and glass doors with shutters. Bring in outside objects that can blow away, such as patio furniture, trash cans, and potted plants. Fill your car with gasoline. If you own a boat, make sure it's properly secured. If you own a pool, shut off the power to the pump and add extra chlorine to the water. Do not empty the pool completely. You should plan to complete your preparations well before the estimated landfall of the Isla hurricane, since weather conditions can deteriorate as early as 24 hours before the hurricane. Once the storm arrives, remember to remain calm and stay indoors until the entire storm has passed. Listen to the radio or television for news and follow the instructions of local emergency officials. After a hurricane. During most hurricane seasons, more people die or get injured after a storm than they do during the actual storm period. Among the causes of injury are electrocution, fire, carbon monoxide poisoning, motor vehicle crashes, and injuries related to roof repair and debris removal. To help prevent injury, keep in mind the following safety guidelines. Don't drink tap water until officials say it's safe to do so. Use caution when driving through damaged intersections. Remember to treat intersections with downed traffic signals as a 4-way stop sign. Avoid floodwaters. Water may be contaminated by oil, gasoline, or raw sewage. In addition, do not drive through flooded roads. Keep in mind that as little as 6 inches of water can cause you to lose control of your car. Stay away from downed power lines to avoid the risk of electric shock or electrocution. Use caution when assessing damage to your home or business. Watch out for gas leaks, unstable structures, stray animals, and other hazards. When using a generator, remember that since they emit carbon monoxide, they should never be used indoors. Follow guidelines in the instruction manual and remember to turn off the generator and let it cool completely before refueling. In addition, help ensure your family's safety from accidental poisoning by installing a carbon monoxide detector in your home. Let's review the 3 steps to emergency preparedness. First, establish a family emergency plan. Second, create an emergency supply kit. Third, learn about specific hazards such as hurricanes. Being prepared will give you peace of mind knowing that you and your family will be ready to respond in the event of a disaster.
Usted puede agarrar